Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick with the Notorious Fantasy, back at it here with another fantasy football video. In today's video, I got you guys the Week 17 running back start or sit decisions. Now, before I get in this video, I'd like to give you guys a word from my friends and my sponsor over at Overlay DFS. OverlayDFS.com is my favorite way to play daily fantasy sports. Now, obviously, this channel is based off of fantasy football, but I still play NBA daily fantasy, and if you guys are new to it, you can come and play with me and join me as well there. I play pretty much every single day, and I have won some money on there, so I have gotten a bit better at that. But this week, right now, the best game to play for NFL, and the only game to play for NFL, is this quarterbacks only game. It is an $11 entry, but you're only playing the quarterbacks in this game for week 17. Now, obviously, a lot of strategy is going to be different in this type of game. It's just all about the quarterback. You don't have to worry about the running backs, the wide receivers, or the tight end, and it is very simple to play on this website. All you have to do is make, for the quarterbacks only, make 5 picks plus 3 alternate picks in case someone doesn't play. Someone ends up getting hurt before the game. They end up not getting the go. It is this simple. Pat Mahomes versus Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers versus Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott versus Ryan Tannehill. Who scores more fantasy points? It is that simple. Anyone can do it. So please make sure to check out OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. Come and play with me this week. There will be a separate video later in the week explaining my picks on the website. And we are back. Please make sure to check out OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. Let's get right into the video. Week 17 running back start or sit decisions. Now, before I actually get into this real quick, I'd like to give you guys a bit of a warning. Right now, I'm not sure whether these guys are going to necessarily play or not. Some guys have been ruled out already, like Mark Ingram. If some of these guys end up getting ruled out, obviously, you are not going to start them, and I will update you guys as the week keeps going on, obviously in the rankings video, so please click that subscribe button if you are new to make sure you get those updates. Now, the first game here is the Packers at the Detroit Lions. I'm going to be starting up Aaron Jones in this game. Last week, Aaron Jones put up a skull fucking of the century on the Minnesota Vikings defense. He gave them the good old 1-2 Floyd Mayweather and KO'd their ass. I just knocked a water bottle over, but it is just about A-okay. I believe that Aaron Jones puts up yet another huge matchup up against this trash-ass Detroit Lions defense. So we're sitting down Jamal Williams. Obviously, he's a bit banged up. I do not really trust him. It seems like Mr. Matt LaFleur really does love Aaron Jones a lot more than Jamal Williams. So for that reason alone, I'm going to sit down Mr. Jamal Williams. Kerryon Johnson is also a sit for me. I believe he will get a lot of touches in this game, or an increased amount of touches since last week. He only got about 10. I see this week around the 15 to 20 point range, which is obviously a huge workload. So if you are in a deeper type of league, you may want to start Kerryon Johnson, but he's certainly a dice roll on the week. Next game here, we got the Jumbo Jets at the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to be starting up Le'Veon Bell in this game. I do worry that the Bills' defense is going to play quite well, but I think that Le'Veon Bell gets enough dump-off passes and has been really safe thus far this season. He really hasn't been putting up those big, humongous games that a lot of people were anticipating him getting, me included. He's just been playing just about okay and just about average, so I do like him in this game to put up another okay game up against the Buffalo Bills. I'm also going to be starting up Devin Singletary in this game. I think that if they pull Josh Allen early, I think that Devin Singletary is going to be getting a lot of work. They're going to try to just run the ball and get them out of this game. They don't necessarily need to even win. They're happy where they are at. If they win, it's not necessary that they're going to really move up and get a better opportunity to win. I'm reading a lot online that a lot of people believe that the Bills starters are going to sit. So if that is true and Devin Singletary ends up sitting, I wouldn't start Frank Gore either. Frank Gore is a sit for me. He is so unreliable. He really hasn't really done shit the last couple of games, and if he ends up getting a bunch of touches, it would be a goddamn miracle from the fantasy gods. So do not trust Frank Gore this week. Next game here, we got the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. I'm starting up both Patriots backs in this game. The Patriots are going to want to go out there and fuck up the Dolphins real good so that they can move up in the playoff rankings. I believe that James White puts up a huge matchup in this spot. James White has been very, very safe in fantasy football this season. He puts up 10 to 12 fucking points every single goddamn week in PPR. He is so reliable. It is unreal. So I believe he puts up a good game again this week up against the Dolphins defense that really ain't all that hot. Sony Michel, I also believe, will get a lot of touches in this game because they're going to try to run out the clock. I believe they beat the Miami Dolphins easily here. I think that the Miami Dolphins are going to be slinging the rock late to Devontae Parker. I think Sony Michel gets a bunch of touches later in the game, and I do not trust Patrick Laird to be the starter for my fantasy team, especially when the Dolphins have a lot of backs back there that they seem to like using. Next game here, we got the Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'm going to be starting up Tariq Cohen in this game. I believe that Tariq Cohen puts up a big, not really a big game, just an okay spot in this game. I think that the Bears are going to try to be passing a lot in this game since I think they're going to be down. So I think Tariq Cohen obviously has the better opportunity to score in that situation. David Montgomery really is getting a lot of that opportunity to catch the ball out of the backfield like Tariq Cohen is getting. So for that reason, I like Tariq Cohen much better, and I would sit down David Montgomery. Obviously, David Montgomery is going to get those touches, but he really has not done all that much with them, and he really hasn't gotten an increased amount of workload to where I could really trust playing him this week up against the Minnesota Vikings. While they're a bit banged up, I still think that that defense is going to shut them down, and Matt Nagy is just a goddamn idiot who just doesn't do anything with David Montgomery. I'm going to be sitting down Mike Boone. Mike Boone, I have something special to say to you, Mike Boone. All right, last week, everyone believed in you. I believed in you, kind of. I didn't say that you were going to be amazing. I said you were potential to be a league winner, but you could also disappoint. And you know what you did? You shit the bed big time. Mike Boone, you sorry motherfucker. Some people are going to call for him being a start this week, for him to have a bounce back game. But I think just off of principle, this motherfucker should be riding your pine this week in fantasy football. If you guys have enjoyed the video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Next game here, we got the Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to be starting up both Chargers running backs in this game, Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. Melvin Gordon got like fucking 5 touches for 6 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game last week. I don't know what the fuck is up with Melvin Gordon. Some games he's in, some games he's out. Like, some games he's on fucking fire, blowing out defenses. Other games he's playing fucking awful. I just don't know what to do with Melvin Gordon. I'm going to fire him out. I think he'll put up a good game up against the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be surprised if he shit the bed either. I think Austin Eckler is the much safer option. At least you know he's going to be getting a lot of pass catching opportunities in this game up against the Chiefs, where they should be down a lot of the game. I'm only sitting down Darwin Thompson, Shady McCoy, as well as Mr. Damian Williams. I don't trust any of these Chiefs running backs. I don't think, well, if all 3 of them are out there, I don't trust any of them. If even just Darwin and LaShawn are out there, I don't trust either of them either in this game. Next game here, we got the Browns at the Bengals. A absolutely terrible game. A game that is going to cause you to put bleach in your goddamn eyes. The Browns at the Bengals, but I do like the running backs in this spot. Nick Chubb, I think, puts up a big game. Last week, he obviously disappointed up against the Ravens. This week, he's playing up against a sorry defense in the Bengals. I believe he puts up a big spot in this game. A humongous bounce back for one of the best running backs in the NFL. I also like Joe Mixon in this game. Obviously, Mixon had his flu game last week. He actually played quite well. It might not have been the flu. I think it was a stomach bug. He put up a big game when a lot of people were worried. I think he puts up yet another big spot up against the Browns, who last week got torched by Mark Ingram and Gus Bus Edwards. I also like Kareem Hunt in this matchup. I think that the Browns are going to be passing a decent amount in this matchup as well, and Kareem Hunt is obviously a very good PPR option in that case. Next game here, we got the Saints at the Panthers. Now, Alvin Kamara has actually been playing quite well the last couple of games. He was really a bust a lot of this season, mainly due to injury and just not getting the ball a lot early in the season. But recently, he's had a bounce back for fantasy football. So I just think he has a good game yet again this week up against the Panthers. The New Orleans Saints are going to want to win this game. The Panthers defense is atrocious. We saw that last week where the Colts looked surgical on their ass. I think Alvin Kamara puts up a huge game just like he did last week up against the Tennessee Titans. Christian McCaffrey, obviously this Panthers offense looks sorry. Will Grier does not look very good, but it does not fucking matter. They scored 6 points last week. You know how many fantasy points Christian McCaffrey scored? Over 30 fucking fantasy points. Christian McCaffrey is going to put on a clinic in this game as long as they don't sub him out early, because they realize that they don't want to get their best player, their future, hurt. I'm going to be sitting down Latavius Murray in this game because I just don't trust Latavius Murray. Obviously, he does have the talent. He is a good running back, but the fact is they just don't use him enough to warrant him being a start. Obviously, if they smack up the Panthers early, Latavius Murray could be getting a lot of work later in the game, but I'm just not going to put all my fucking cards to the middle, all my dice in one spot. I'm not going to trust Latavius Murray in this game. Obviously, he's had some good games this season. He was playing great when Alvin Kamara was out, but while Alvin Kamara is in the lineup, I just really do not trust him. Next game here, we got the Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like Devontae Freeman in this matchup. Last week, Devontae Freeman laid the goddamn pipe down. He was scoring touchdowns on touchdowns on touchdowns and fantasy points on top of fantasy points on top of fantasy points. He is going to put up yet another big spot up against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Now, their defense is good against the run, but it seems like Devontae Freeman has been getting a lot more pass-catching opportunity this year in comparison to last year, obviously when Tevin Coleman was on the team. I believe that Devontae Freeman puts up a big spot in this matchup, definitely a top 20 running back on the weekend. I'm going to be sitting down both and all of these Tampa Bay running backs, Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber, Dare Akabuduge. Every single week, it is different with these motherfuckers. One week, it's going to be Ronald Jones. Last week, Ronald Jones played good. This week, it could be Peyton Barber. This week, it could be Dare Akabuduge, or it could be none of them, okay? This Tampa Bay Buccaneers run offense is very confusing, just like their pass offense, if I'm being honest with you. I like Jameis, but their wide receivers are a bit risky, and the running backs are the most risky thing ever. I would not trust any of those guys with my fantasy football championship hopes. Next game here, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm going to be starting up Leonard Fournette in this game. Leonard Fournette is the king of getting touches. He gets so many goddamn touches every week that it is unreal, and you guys know that touches are key in fantasy football. The more touches you get, the better chance you have of scoring fantasy points, and up against the Indianapolis Colts, that is going to prove to be great for Leonard Fournette. I'm also going to be starting up Marlon Mack in this game. Marlon Mack obviously is one of those guys that is going to be getting a lot of touches, and they like to run the ball in Indianapolis. They like to run the damn ball. You saw them wearing those hats earlier in the season after they whooped the shit out of the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the Colts went from looking up to straight down into the goddamn garbage. I believe that Marlon Mack puts up a good spot in this game when he's sitting down Naheem Hines, even though he did great last week. Next game here, we got the NFC East matchup between the Eagles at the New York Football Giants. So I'm going to be starting up Miles Sanders in this game. Last week, Miles Sanders, you dumb motherfucker. He pulled a Todd Gurley from last year. He was running. He was cruising straight in the end zone. And now he is cruising for a goddamn bruising 1-2 fucking Mayweather. Miles Sanders was running into the end zone, and he slid like it was into second base. That dumb motherfucker screwed a lot of you guys out of those fantasy points. Obviously, I'm not actually mad at Miles Sanders. He was doing what was right for the game. Don't hate on Miles Sanders. He's just a human. He was just doing what he believed was best for the team. But at the end of the day, he could have put up an even bigger game, and he put up a huge game last week. I believe he fucking destroys the Giants. He goes fist deep up their ass. I think Miles Sanders has a huge game this week up against the New York Football Giants. Knock one time if you're with me. And Saquon Barkley did the exact same thing to the Washington Redskins last week. I believe Saquon Barkley puts up a huge spot on this Eagles defense. Even though the Eagles defense is good against the run, Saquon Barkley is going to get a lot of looks out of the backfield in the pass-catching game, so I like Saquon Barkley this week. I'm going to be sitting down Boston Scott. I just do not really trust him. Miles Sanders is clearly the back on that team. I really don't believe they'll bring Jordan Howard back into this game. If Jordan Howard plays, I'm a bit more worried about Miles Sanders. And if Jordan Howard plays, you definitely cannot put the flyer in on Boston Scott. Next game here, we got the Cardinals at the LA Rams. I like both backs in this game. Kenyon Drake last week scored a touchdown, took the money out of the goddamn safe because he's a fucking beast. He got taken from the Dolphins, now on an Arizona team that's not really that good, but he is scoring touchdowns because the fucking team knows how to use Kenyon Drake. They know Kenyon Drake's skill set, and Kenyon Drake has been balling out of control the last couple of games. I see no reason why he stops this week up against the LA Rams, who may not be starting a couple of their best players on defense. That's a little bit of a ASMR right there. Not actually, but that's a bit of a sneaky fucking tip for you boys out there and you girls. There's a couple girls will watch. But Todd Gurley, I also like in this game, guys. Todd Gurley has been pretty good. He has been unchained. They've been giving him a lot of touches. Does that happen in this game? Maybe. Does he sit? Maybe. If he sits, obviously, you're not going to play him on your fantasy team. I'm going to be sitting down David Johnson as well. David Johnson this season went from a guy that was honestly balling to a guy who got hurt to a guy you cannot trust worth shit. Kenyon Drake is clearly the back to start in Arizona. Next game here, we got the Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to be starting up Gus Bus Edwards in this game. Gus Edwards actually came in relief of Mark Ingram, who got hurt at the end of the game last week. I think that Gus Edwards, obviously, even on a offense with a bunch of backups starting, obviously RG3 starting at the helm at the quarterback position for the Baltimore Ravens. I still think that Gus Edwards could put up a big game. The coaching on the team is so strong. The run game is so strong. I think that Gus Edwards is definitely worthy of a start this week. I'm sitting down all the backup running backs for the Ravens, Justice Hill and friends back there. And then I'm sitting down all of the Steelers running backs. James Conner, I doubt he plays. He got hurt in that game, just like I said on the live stream. Maybe he would get hurt, and he got hurt. Sorry to you, James Conner. I did not mean to hurt you like that. I did not not mean to jinx ya like that. Jalen Samuels, Benny Snell, do not trust either of those motherfuckers up against this Baltimore Ravens defense who shut down Nick Chubb last week. Nicky Chubb last week. That's who, again, they played the football game against. Next game here, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. I like Derrick Henry in this game if he plays. Realistically, you think he plays in this game. He did not play last week. You would think he needs to play this week so that the Tennessee Titans can make their push to definitely make sure they solidify their spot in the playoffs. I think that Derrick Henry puts up a huge game in his return. Mr. November, Mr. December, Derrick Henry, whenever it becomes fucking a bit brisk out there, a bit cold out there in Tennessee, he just goes balls deep in these defenses, and I believe it is actually the month of December, so based upon the calendar, he is definitely what they start this week. I'm going to be sitting down Carlos Hyde, Duke Johnson. Don't really trust either of these guys. Carlos Hyde gets a lot of touches, but really, he doesn't do much with them. He scores like 8-10 fantasy points. If he finds the end zone, he might score you 15. So go ahead if you want 15 fucking points. But I do not want that in my fantasy football championship. So I would not really be going with a safe option like Carlos Hyde this week. Duke Johnson is just a dice roll. Throw it up against the wall. Some games, he'll put up he either goes 0 or 20. There's really no in between for Duke Johnson. Next game here, we got the Oakland Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm starting up DeAndre Washington in this matchup, coming in for Josh Jacobs. Obviously, if Josh Jacobs is out, DeAndre Washington is a must start. DeAndre Washington has been balling out of control when Josh Jacobs was out. Obviously, the run scheme for the Oakland Raiders is very good, so I think that DeAndre Washington puts up a big game up against this Broncos defense. I'm going to be starting up Phillip Lindsay as well. Phillip Lindsay seems like the only back you can start on the Broncos. Royce Freeman obviously could score the touchdown. He could vulture the touchdown. We saw him last week score. I'm just not sure he does that this week up against the Oakland Raiders. And Phillip Lindsay is a really good running back, and this Raiders defense is very suspect. Next game here, we got the Redskins at the Dallas Cowboys, the Sunday Night Football matchup. In this game, I like Ezekiel Elliott. The Dallas Cowboys need to win this game, and they're going to need to get this run game going. I think that Ezekiel Elliott gets the rock often and early in this game up against a trash Washington Redskins defense. I also like AP in this game. AP has been going a bit psycho the last couple of games. He's been playing quite strong for the Washington Redskins, so I believe he is a very safe start this week up against the Dallas Cowboys defense. I'm going to be sitting down Chris Thompson in this game. I really just don't think he has back-to-back great games. Now to the final game of the week, the Monday Night Football matchup between the 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to be starting up Raheem Mostert in this game. While I don't really trust him, the Seattle defense has been kind of getting a bit dicey against the run. They could get skull-fucked in this game by Raheem Mostert. We saw earlier in the season, Raheem Mostert played quite well up against that Seattle Seahawks defense. I think he does it yet again this week. I like him. Really, he's the only running back I like in this game. Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, I do not trust at all. Really. Tevin Coleman has been shit the last couple of games. Marshawn Lynch is a huge risk. If he is the Marshawn Lynch from a couple of years ago we saw in Oakland and a couple of years ago, even before that in Seattle, he will be great. But did he stay healthy the last year? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we saw him taking shots of tequila with his fans, his friends in Oakland. Do I believe that will happen? Or do I believe he will play well? Maybe. There is a potential. There is a lot of risk with it, so I would not really risk it for the biscuit in my championship game with Marshawn Lynch. I'm going to be sitting down all of the other Seattle backs. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying this, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Make sure to check out overlaydfs.com, link down below in the description. Check out one of the other videos that is on the screen. I love each and every single one of you guys. I hope you guys had a great Christmas, a great holiday with your family. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, my friends.